hosted presentation is at least a little surprising. It surprised me anyway. In the last 18 months or so, I've broken 3 limbs, both arms and a leg. Each time I broke something, I went to see Luke Hamilton. Before that, the only contact I'd had with Chinese medicine was my parents getting an acupuncture treatment every once in a while, but I had had no real interest in it myself. The prospect of getting punctured by needles seemed by no means appealing. When I broke my right arm, in February of 7th grade, I went to Luke as a kid, willing to try something new. Later, I was looking for a mentor. When I broke my leg, this past January, I went to him as an assistant and an apprentice. Working with Luke has been a pleasure. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed my first acupuncture treatment and became curious as to know how it was helping my body heal. As I met with Luke for more treatments, I began asking questions about the process and philosophy governing them. We worked on a weekly basis, and I studied books he directed me to, worked on Qigong movements he taught me, and I visited his clinics in New York and New Paltz, serving as an assistant while he worked. And even after all that, I feel barely qualified to talk about this. After a year of study, I've barely scratched the surface of what traditional Chinese medicine has to offer. Nevertheless, I'd like to share with you some of this beautiful and intricate system of medicinal philosophy. Let's start with a brief history. The first reference to Chinese medical theory is the Neijing, compiled around 100 BC by the Yellow Emperor. It postulated for the first time that diseases could be caused by anything other than demonic influences, describing the original 5-element theory. It also laid down the principles for the original ideas of yin and yang, which now govern much of Chinese medicine. The primary difference between allopathic medicine, what most of us think of when we think of the doctor's office or the hospital, and Chinese medicine is the goal. In allopathic medicine, the goal is to treat the patient's sickness or injury and to quell the symptoms. In contrast, to separate a disease or sickness from the rest of the body without looking at the entire person is impossible in Chinese medicine. Instead, the 5-element theory governs much of traditional Chinese medicine. It represents the constantly moving, constantly changing pattern of the human landscape. Balance is the goal. Balance between yin and yang, between the 5 elements, and throughout the whole picture of a life. Chinese culture is also affected by these principles of balance and harmony. Much of its art, for example, demonstrates the balanced forces of yin and yang. In Chinese medicine, the diagnostic process is not a simple one. The practitioner has 4 tools or pillars with which he can make a diagnosis. These pillars are looking. This encompasses obvious physical problems, such as a limp. Looking also includes the study of the tongue, a very important tool for diagnosis. Smelling. While this might seem odd, a practitioner used to be able to get a lot of information from someone's smell. Bad breath, for example. Bad breath indicated disharmony of yang, heat, and excess. This practice is near obsolete now because people bathe more often and use more strongly smelling products. Touching, or palpation. Using touch to understand a problem in someone's musculature or in the movement of their organs. Palpation also encompasses the vital skill of pulse taking, one of the most descriptive aspects of a person's state of health. Through the pulse, a practitioner can learn the health of each organ, blood, and even qi, a subject upon which I shall expand shortly. Questioning is the 4th and final pillar of diagnosis. It's important because there is much in someone's life a practitioner is not privy to without asking. In traditional Chinese medicine, there is a set of questions that give structure to the process of diagnosis. This set of questions is called the 10 questions and covers the state of the body and history of the condition. These 4 pillars and 10 questions can be tailored to each situation and can be used to gauge a patient's needs. So what can a practitioner do to balance the forces at play within the landscape of a patient? Acupuncture is the most well-known technique in Chinese medicine. It uses metal needles to affect both the flow of qi and muscle tension throughout the body. Qi is the life force that represents itself as breath. It circulates through the meridians, just as blood circulates through veins and arteries. Tuina is Chinese body work. It's similar to chiropractics and massage. It literally translates push-grab and is used primarily to realign the musculoskeletal system. Herbs are another important method of treatment. Generally prescribed as supplements along with dietary direction, they make up a large part of a practitioner's treatment. Gua sha is a less common method of treatment. Gua sha is the use of a tool of jade or agate to rub or scrape the body in large sweeping strokes, usually along the meridians, enough to create minor bruising. It is meant to move stagnant qi and to loosen tight muscles. Mopsa is the use of burning mugwort on prominent acupuncture points for the purpose of encouraging qi and increasing the yang in the body. Liniments and poultices are often used, though mostly in the clinic. Modern tools. There are a number of more modern treatments, such as using a weak electrical impulse on certain needles. This is called e-stim, or the use of a heat lamp to increase the effect of liniments and poultices. Over the winter, I spent a day with Luke in New York, first going to a Qigong and Tai Chi class with his teacher, then helping as an assistant at his clinic. While we were there, we saw 8 patients. Here are 3 of them. Each patient came in for a different reason, and I will share a range of clinical profiles. The first patient came in due to back pain. She was a returning patient and had complained of the pain before. Luke asked her a number of questions regarding her physical and emotional state, and began giving a standard Tui-Na back protocol. This protocol is meant, usually, for stiff musculature, and is quite common. As he worked, Luke decided what points to use. I held a tray of needles for him to choose from, and he first chose a number of smaller needles, needling up and down her back, symmetrically. As the back protocol had not eased the soreness or pain sufficiently, Luke then used larger needles in a technique called threading, where the practitioner uses a single needle to go through multiple points on a meridian for a stronger effect. He then used a light liniment on them. I then brought in a heat lamp for heat therapy and aimed it at her upper back. We allowed these treatments to set for a period of time. Following this treatment, she was feeling better and her muscles were looser. The next patient arrived later in the day. She was in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy and had recently found that her baby was in the breech position. She had gone to a doctor's office to have the baby's position corrected, but the attempt had failed and she came to Luke. As with the prior patient, he started with the 10 questions. Due to the pregnancy, Luke abstained from practicing Tui-Na and went directly to acupuncture on her feet. We then used a liniment on her abdomen and let her relax. I didn't understand how needling her toes could correct the breech. I could understand how acupuncture could loosen muscles. I could understand how it could facilitate the movement of qi. But how it could change a baby's position was beyond me. I later learned from Luke that it had been a successful treatment for turning the baby. What astounded me about this episode was that acupuncture in Chinese medicine had a medicinal vocabulary and, moreover, a treatment without surgery or even massage for a difficulty that seemed like it should be so hands-on. The 3rd patient surprised me by showing me how holistic Chinese medicine is. She was the last patient of the day, and a returning patient with no major complaints and no recurring issues. When she came in, she seemed reticent and took her time. Luke started by questioning her, and she shared that her trouble was about relationships and her feelings of rejection. I had no idea why she would come to an acupuncturist about this, but Luke easily chose points and began needling. This made me realize how thoroughly Chinese medical theory is a holistic medicine. While I know very little about the theory behind using acupuncture for emotional healing, it's something I would like to continue studying. Chinese medicine's ability to recognize and correct imbalances and disharmonies, not just in the body, but throughout the entire human landscape, is something I find incredible. I would first and foremost like to thank my mentor, Luke, who imparted so much knowledge to me, kept me on track when things got rough, and who made all of this possible. I would like to thank my wonderful parents, who transported me and put up with me, and without them, there is quite a lot I would not have been able to accomplish. I would like to thank my grandfather, Glenn, who coerced, begged, and threatened me into finally writing this speech. I would like to thank Mountain Rural Waldorf School for giving me the opportunity and the nudge I needed to be able to study this amazing subject. And last but not least, Judy Jacob, who I think we can agree is the life of our school. Thank you, Judy, for holding this school, this class, and me for so many years. I'd like to bring up my friend and classmate, Cleo Verderosa.